Hello everyone, welcome to another trade forecast and sort of live stream. Let me just check if everything is working. Okay, so we should be working. Let's see, got trading view on here. Yeah, hope everyone is doing well. It's gonna be a 1 hour live segment. If you guys have any questions, chart requests, trading strategy questions, psychology questions, risk management, I have my chat open on the side. Let's just move the camera a bit like this. I have the chat open on the side, so I'm monitoring everything. And yeah, let me know. The main point of these live streams is so that you can ask questions. I can make the chat more interactive. And yeah, basically everything should be a bit more entertaining. Hopefully my internet connection is doing okay, because I see I have a little bit of issues with that. But yeah, let me know in the chat if things are lagging. Let me also see if I can work that. Okay, should be fine now. So the main event for today is actually the ECB interest rate decision. So that is the main event. If I bring up the Edge Finder, let me just minimize this. Let's bring up the Edge Finder. Okay, this is good. So let's start with the breaking news. As you can see, the breaking news for today is that the ECB's European Central Bank president, the surname is Lagarde, it's Lagarde basically, says you could argue that we are on hold, meaning the rate cuts are pausing, okay? So the rate cut, or the rate we currently have, we can check it on TradingView. If you click this small bubble, it's gonna be the interest rate decision, and it's gonna say that the forecast, the previous number was 2.15, the forecast was 2.15, and the actual number came in the same as the forecast, meaning there was a hold, there was a pause with the cuts. Now, why is this important? Well, let me show you. If we go to historical interest rate data, here it is. This is the historical data for, let's see, okay, let's put 5 years. So they hiked rates because inflation was getting out of hand. So in 2022, they started increasing interest rates to battle inflation. And then there was a pause. And then in, let's say, June 2024, they started cutting the interest rate. Why? Well, because the inflation was under control and they wanted to stimulate growth. Okay, so they kept the cuts going. The current rate now is 2.15. And looks like the cuts are not gonna continue. Looks like they're gonna keep the rate steady at the current level where they put it in June. So in June, they put it at 215. They made a cut from 2.4 to 215. And now it is at 2.15 and holding. So what does this mean for the euro as a currency? Okay, what do these fundamentals mean for the euro? Well, it means that interest rate cuts are bearish for the underlying currency, meaning interest rate cuts should make the euro lose value. But if they are now pausing with the cuts, if they're gonna hold the current rate, that is actually bullish for the underlying currency because the rate cuts are stopping, okay? That is exactly why you can see this initial bullish reaction right here. You can see it better on the 5 minute, or maybe even on the 1 minute. No, this is 2 minutes, 1 minute. You can see it here. So when the press conference started, and I think this was the time where the Lagarde had the announcement or said it in the speech that they were probably gonna pause with the cuts, and the euro started gaining value. So that's how it works. That is how central bank decisions work. That is how these events could be traded, because what the top guy on Darwinex does, for example, the top guy on Darwinex, he monitors these events, he waits for the speech, he listens to what Lagarde is saying, and then he buys or sells according to what Lagarde said. And maybe I'll have to check up on the THA performance on Darwinex, but maybe he actually bought into this event and you could make a nice trade. Let's say you bought here, stop loss below the lows, and you're aiming for 2 to 1. You know, this could be a nice quick scalp of around, what is it, like half an hour, something like that, maybe a bit more, okay, but definitely a nice scalp if you know what you're doing. So what does this mean for the euro long term? Well, this could mean that the euro is gonna gain more value. So this chart just became even more interesting. I already liked the euro US dollar. If you look at the fundamentals, let's remove this. Euro USD. If you look at the fundamentals, Euro USD is actually getting a bullish reading on the edge finder, for example. So, and also if you look at the economic heat map, Europe, you can see that out of Europe, you're getting some very, very positive numbers. So that means I'm very interested to look for buy setups on the euro dollar, and I'm already in a buy setup on the German stock market. Okay, so here I'm in a buy setup. It's running in a little bit of profit. I took an initial position back on the 16th of June. That ended up being a loss. And then I took another stab. I took another position on the 7th of July, which is now running, as I mentioned, a little bit of profit. We just don't seem to be able to break out of these highs. So that is a bit of a problem, but I'm going to keep holding the trade. Fundamentals are still bullish. Macroeconomics are still bullish. And I'm going to trail the stop loss if we do continue going higher. Okay. So if this happens, I will just trail my stop loss underneath the swing lows. That is my game plan for the DAX, for the German 40. Let's check on the stream if everything is doing well. Okay, so everything should be working fine. Again, if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Let's hide this. Okay, back to TradingView. So this week, in terms of some other news, well, I'll show you. It was a pretty slow week, and it is going to be a pretty slow week because there is no scheduled news, no major scheduled news. The biggest news for this week was the ECB interest rate decision. But in terms of breaking news, we actually got some interesting stuff. So we got that the United States and EU close in on 15% tariff deal. That is bullish for the euro, bullish for the S&P, bullish for the DAX. That's why you had this reaction on the DAX. See, on the 23rd of July, you had a very bullish daily candle because of this breaking news. And also, we got some talks of a deal between the United States and Japan. Okay, so possibly some trade deals are being done, which is good for a risk-on market, which is good for risk-on assets. And if you have any risk-on assets, then they should go up in value. So we know Trump was tiptoeing about the trade deals, about the deadline. It was the 9th of July. Then he moved it to the 1st of August. Then no one really knew, are there going to be any new deals? So yeah, it was I would say, pretty big uncertainty in terms of trade deals. But now this new news with United States, with Japan, with the European Union, that is very bullish for the markets. So that should be bullish for things like the DAX, the NASDAQ, S&P, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Damn, Ethereum is bullish today. Okay, it's great. Should be bearish. So trade deals should be bearish for silver, gold, the yen, okay, JXY, Japanese yen index should be bearish for the yen because those are safe haven assets, okay. So now that we talked about the breaking news and generally what is happening in the markets, now I can mention some of my personal positions that I have and the things I'm looking to buy or sell in the near future. Okay, so first let's jump onto the Edge Finder. Here, let's see top setups. Okay, let's delete this. Let's remove the neutral. Nasdaq, Dow Jones, Nikkei, EuroCAD, Swiss Yen, Copper, S&P, Russell, DAX, Euro Yen is bullish, okay, Euro Aussie, Euro USD. And then you have some bearish setups here as well, which you probably can't see because of my camera. Anyways, let's see the Euro Yen quickly. Let me check out the Euro Yen. What's the Euro Yen doing? It's actually been in quite a significant uptrend. So the Euro Yen, I wouldn't personally look for buy setups right now because I don't think that the bullish reading is so prominent, but it could be interesting actually because the Euro is getting some very strong fundamental data and the Yen is getting some possible weak data. And again, Yen is a safe haven asset. So if the trade deals actually go through, if the trade deals work, the Yen should lose potentially some value. Okay. So Euro Yen could continue grinding higher. I mean, the daily chart is definitely going up with a lot of force. I'm seeing a lot of momentum on this Euro Yen chart. So maybe it's good to take some buy setups. Hey Alafi, hello. How's it going? If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the chat. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, very clean uptrend on the daily. Pulling back to the 20 EMA and then rejecting off of that. Looks very good. Let's see the 1 hour though. Let's see. Kind of flat here and corrective. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this one. As I mentioned, I am getting a bullish reading, but I'm not sure if I wanna take a buy setup right here. The trades I do have running is silver. Okay, currently running at around 3R. My stop loss is below this swing low right here, so I'm trailing my position. I'm trailing my position on the daily chart. That means if the price does continue moving higher, I will keep moving my stop loss underneath these swing lows. Okay, so that is the game plan for silver. I took this one on the 24th of June. I liked this setup. I was betting on a bit of uncertainty around tariffs and a bit of risk off market. So I bought silver. I'm also in a buy setup on gold. Both of those are risk off trades and both of those benefit some sort of a crisis if the trade wars continue. So yeah, that's the reasoning. Also silver I really liked because gold had already moved up quite significantly, right? So gold had a massive uptrend, really, really large. If we look at, let's say, the weekly chart, the weekly from the beginning of 2025, let's see, 2025, to the top around 31%, that's pretty massive. And let's see from January 24 to the top around 73% gain. So massive gain. It even beats the S&P 500. Elafi says, I'm good, thanks. And you? I'm great. I'm on the seaside. I'm doing a vacation / work. So I'm working a couple of hours per day. And then the rest of the time I'm at the beach. So yeah, it's a really good balance and enjoying my time at the seaside. Thank you for asking. Gold can outperform the S&P 500 on some years. So if you're looking for long-term investments, S&P 500 is definitely a great option. So this is definitely a great option. I mean, let's take a look from January 24. Here, around 35%. So you can see that gold definitely outperformed the S&P 500. See, gold is very interesting. As I mentioned, to get back to it, gold already had a massive explosion up. Silver, not so much. Okay, the move was not so big. If we look at January 24, 67%. So yes, the move was very large, but usually silver can even outperform gold. Okay, so silver has a lot of value, has a lot of power to move even more than gold does. It is pretty similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin moves first, Bitcoin is the leader, but then Ethereum and other altcoins, they move after Bitcoin, and they can move 5x, 10x, maybe even 50x. So that's usually how it goes. You have a leader and then you have followers. So if the leader moves first, then you can get in on the followers and try to bet that the followers will catch up to the leader. So for example, that is what I'm betting on, that silver will catch up to gold. So if you look at, for example, the XAUUSD to XAGUSD gold to silver ratio, you can see gold has been pretty overvalued in terms of silver, but the ratio is coming down. So I would say the equilibrium, the middle of this range, is around, let's say, here. So we are now moving into the more fair value, right? We could go even lower, like this, maybe to these lows, right there, maybe to the lows, and that would make silver gain even more value against gold. So maybe gold goes down a lot and silver stays at a specific level, or maybe silver explodes in value while gold stays at a specific level, or maybe gold moves just a little bit to the upside. But I think silver is a better play than gold. So Elafi says, I was looking at Swiss yen short, but I need more confirmation. What are your thoughts on Swiss yen? Let me check out the fundamentals first. Why? Bullish. Okay, I'm getting a bullish reading here from the Edge Finder. Looks like that commitment of traders. So the institutional money, they are buying. Looks like the retail is short. So I want to do the exact opposite of the retail market. And looks like the seasonality is bullish. So Swiss yen goes up in July. Okay, that is what that means. If you guys, also quick plug of the Edge Finder software, if you want to get this software, there's a current 40% sale. So 40% off with code Marco. You can get 40% off with my code for the month of July. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. It is the absolutely best software that you can find for fundamental analysis and generally analysis of what is happening in the markets. Usually hedge funds use this kind of software, but now it is available to us retail traders as well. Okay, so because Swiss yen is bullish here, and let me check out the Swiss against the yen in terms of the economies. So economies, this measures, these gauges, they measure the data that is coming out. So the fundamental data, is it coming out more bullish than expected? Or is it coming out the same as expected? Or is it coming out more bearish than expected? So for the Swiss, looks like the data is coming out more bullish than expected. Okay, so I would be looking to buy the Swiss. The yen is also kind of strong. Swiss is stronger, but the yen is strong as well. So there's no clear bias. You know, the best combination out of this would be maybe buying the New Zealand and selling the CAD, because this is the strongest and this is the weakest. But yeah, because of this top setups, Swiss yen bullish reading, I would not really be looking for sell setups on the Swiss yen. Let's see the chart. Swiss GPY. Yeah, overall in a really big uptrend, or sorry, this is the weekly, but on the daily as well. Wow, this is in a really big uptrend. My thoughts were in retail side, that's bad. Yeah, so basically, looks like the retail traders are looking to sell, and usually, or like 90% of the time, the retail traders are wrong. So it's best to do the exact opposite of what the retail money is doing. So for the Swiss yen, even by just looking at this daily chart, this looks very bullish in my opinion. If you're gonna short this market, I would not be holding my trades for too long, you know? I would probably get in on a quick position if you really want to go short. I think a better opportunity would actually be to buy this. Let's see the weekly chart. Yeah, just... Okay, so we are at all-time highs, is what it seems like. Would I be buying here at the top? Maybe I would look for a bit more of a pullback, but this market is just really quick, really very strong momentum. Let's see the 1 hour chart. Yeah, it looks very corrective right here, very range bound. But I mean, the daily looks very strong. So thanks for pointing this chart out. It looks very interesting. I personally would not be looking for buy setups just yet. I would be a bit patient because I like a couple of currencies a bit better. A currency that I like right now, especially with the latest news that we got today from the European Central Bank, buy setups on the euro dollar. So let me actually put Euro USD ON the data. Let's move it up here. And I'm gonna consider looking for buy setups. Let me tell you why. So first, Edge Finder. Bullish. So we have a bullish reading on the Edge Finder. In terms of the economies, Europe is doing really well, okay? Really well. You can see the data, GDP, manufacturing, services, retail sales, inflation, unemployment, employment change. Most of it is coming out more bullish than expected. That means the economy is doing better. The economy is doing better than expected, right? So yeah, I'm looking to buy the euro and possibly sell the US dollar. Although right now the dollar seems a bit strong. We got the initial jobless claims today, I believe. Yeah, today they came out bullish. Okay, so they came out bullish for the dollar, bullish for stocks. That means the economy is doing really well. So it's not a really clear reading, but if you sum it all up, again, retail money is short the euro dollar. So I want to do the exact opposite. Seasonality, I can show you the seasonality for this one. Seasonality monthly. And we can go on the euro USD. See, usually July is a positive month, right? Usually the markets gain value in July. So all of that is pretty interesting in my opinion. And so Elafi says, yes, and if we have deals with Trump, it could be even more bullish, I guess. Maybe, I'm not that sure, but possibly it would restore. So if we get more trade deals and we just got a sign that the trade deal will be active. Okay, just 1 second. So we got a sign that a trade deal may be active with the United States and Europe, which is bullish for the euro, and it could be a bit bearish. For the US dollar because US dollar is usually thought as a safe haven. So if there's a crisis, trade war, some sort of a problem in the world, usually people go and buy dollars. So it could be the case that if we get more trade deals, euro dollar could go up even more. But I like the edge finder. I like that there is a potential deal between the United States and Europe. And I like what happened today with the ECB, European Central Bank, is they announced that they're probably going to pause with rate cuts. So rate cuts are bearish for the underlying currency. A pause in rate cuts is automatically bullish for the underlying currency. In this case, it would be the euro. So quick analysis, the daily chart is looking like it's in a big uptrend. So I like that. And I'm looking for entries on the 1 hour chart. Looking for entries here. So let's see, maybe we get some sort of an entry. If we continue up a bit more, get a flag, get a break and retest, something like that, I would be interested to look for an entry. We're not that far away from the 20 EMA, but I would like to see maybe euro dollar move a bit lower. Maybe a little bit lower. Maybe this is a little bit too overextended. But I'm going to be closely watching the euro dollar in the next few days, maybe even weeks, and going to consider some buy setups. So that's a currency that I like. I told you about my silver trade, which is running very nicely right now. I have a trade on the DAX. Okay. Now, rate cuts are actually bullish for the European economy. So the rate cuts that I showed you that were coming or that were happening, let me get it back on the screen. The rate cuts that we had were actually very, very bearish for the DAX, bullish for the DAX. They started in May. If we go to May, see, May, we had a definite uptrend. We had a definite definite gain in value. All right. So now that the rate cuts have potentially paused, maybe in the future there will be few rate cuts or no rate cuts. That means it's not so bullish for the DAX. So the DAX should have a bit of a bearish reaction. Let's check that. Let's see it. So this was the event right here. And yeah, definitely some selling happened on the 1 hour chart. Let's take a look at the 5 minute. Let's see. Yeah, so after the press conference, definite selling on the 5 minute on the DAX. 1 minute. See, this is the press conference, and this was the selling that happened because in Lagarde's speech, she mentioned that possible pause of the cuts is going to happen. But to be honest, I'm still holding my position. I think this is still a pretty good trade. My stop loss is at this level. So my stop loss is at the initial level. I haven't moved the stop loss. I like the overall uptrend. I think this is very bullish in terms of technical analysis. Overall, we are in a risk on market, risk on environment. That is why I'm looking for buy setups on the NASDAQ as well. Also, we had an indication that a possible trade deal will happen between United States and Europe. That is very bullish for the DAX. I'm not sure if it is like 100% going to happen or if it's like very likely to happen. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a bit more research, but I don't think it's all set in stone yet. I think there is some heavy talks on a trade deal on a fixed 15% tariff, but I'm not 100% sure it's actually going to go through. So yeah, holding this position, trailing it, and seeing what will happen. What I do like is that currently my portfolio is balanced, meaning I have a couple of risk-on positions and I have a couple of risk-off positions. So whatever happens, I'm secured both ways. If we get trade deals, or maybe we get zero trade deals. If there's a crisis, or we don't get a crisis at all. If anything weird happens, if Trump has a crazy tweet, we could go very risk on. That means my DAX position goes up. That means my investment in the S&P goes up, that means my investment in crypto goes up. But if we get a crazy tweet from Trump and we go in a massive risk-off environment, my silver goes up, my gold trade goes up. So I'm balanced both ways. And all of it is through calculated risk, basically. So I know exactly where my stop loss is. I know exactly how much I have risked on a specific position. And I know what my max loss on all of these positions is. On silver, it's currently a profit. So if I do get taken out of this trade, it is gonna be in profit, right? So gold, I mentioned I'm in a buy setup, trailing this position. It has been kind of very slow, as Trader Nick says, like watching paint dry. So meaning we haven't had a lot of movement. At one point this week, I was up around 2.3 to 1. But now we had a pullback because of the trade deals. You know, trade deals are not good for gold. Gold likes uncertainty. Gold likes zero trade deals and a lot of uncertainty. Elafi asks, do you have a trade on oil like Nick? No, I don't. Oil is very tough to trade, in my opinion. Oil is very tricky. Okay, I don't have a lot of experience with oil. Just a second. TradingView is back. I don't have a lot of experience with oil, especially because geopolitics have a really high impact on the price of oil. So we had the crisis between Israel and Iran. We had a massive explosion and then a massive melt back to the previous levels. And it's very hard to trade this. You know, if you have a trade running at this point, if it's a buy setup, then it's great. But if it's a sell setup and you get a massive explosion, you could get stopped out for even more than you initially risked. So it's very tough to trade. Right now, I'm pausing with any trades on US oil. I don't think I ever took a trade on oil. In the future, if I do more research, I'm gonna consider it. But I just think it's very volatile. It's very much controlled by geopolitics more than actual fundamentals. So that's problematic. I think there are better opportunities in the markets. I know Nick likes it a lot. I know Nick is currently in a trade, in a buy trade. But for me, I'm pausing a little bit. Let's check the edge finder for oil. Let's see. US oil. Should be getting a bullish reading. US oil. Okay, there may be some sort of a mistake. Or no, I need to remove this. Okay, it's getting a neutral reading right now. So a neutral reading. Back to TradingView. The NASDAQ, I'm looking for buy setups. So for this fundamental strategy, I'm in 3 trades and I'm looking for trades on the NASDAQ and on the euro dollar, as I mentioned. Okay. The NASDAQ is great. I mean, I just had a stream. I just did a stream on Trader Nick's channel and I talked about why I think the NASDAQ overall will definitely continue going higher and why I think the NASDAQ is the best option to buy out of all of the US indices. Okay, and we have Elafi, you are in NASDAQ too. So are you currently in a position or are you looking to, oh, you want to buy the NASDAQ? Okay, nice, cool, nice. Out of all of the indices, and we have the S&P, we have the Dow Jones, we have the US 2000, which is the Russell. The NASDAQ, in my opinion, is gonna move the most. The reason being artificial intelligence. Okay, so we already had a case with Microsoft where they laid off 5% of their workforce and most likely they replaced those workers with artificial intelligence. I think they also own ChatGPT or they are heavily invested in ChatGPT, not sure. But they are implementing ChatGPT to do these basic tasks and to replace those really low paying jobs at Microsoft, for example. This then increases their profit margins. Profit margins increase the price of Microsoft stock. We can take a look. Microsoft Corporation on the NASDAQ. And you can see on the daily chart just a massive explosion on Microsoft. Yeah. And this has an effect on the NASDAQ index to go up, right? So the companies that will implement artificial intelligence, that will be the quickest to implement AI, are going to be technology stocks. And the NASDAQ follows top 100 US technology stocks. That's why I think those companies in 2025 will move higher. Definitely will move higher, and will move higher with a lot of strength, a lot of momentum. In terms of some other reasons why I'm looking to buy, we have current risk on environment. We have trade deals being done. We have a strong US economy. You know, if I bring up the US economy, US, see, so it's doing okay. So like 65 or 61.5% of all of the data is coming out better than expected. And there is really very little signs that the US economy is slowing down. There is no signs of a recession coming. So yeah, I have a lot of confidence in the US economy, and I think the US economy could definitely continue grinding higher, especially with artificial intelligence, if they will implement it in the right way. So NASDAQ, the only problem right now with the NASDAQ is I think we're a bit too overextended. So I would not be looking to buy at these highs. I would look for a bit of a pullback first. I'm seeing a bit of a slowdown here. So we are breaking the highs and retracing. That means a bit of a slowdown is happening. And I think we are a bit too overextended. So if we can pull back to this level, okay, if we can pull back to this level of support, I think it would be a really healthy and a strong level to look for some buy setups. That is what I personally have on my radar. That is why I also have an alert set. As you can see, once the price hits the level, I will be considering those buy setups. If the price runs away without me, I will be more patient. So if we get a minimal pullback, then I just won't be able to get in. Okay, so do we have Google earnings soon? I'm not that up to date with earnings. I'm not really closely watching earnings. I usually do watch them when I'm like in my hometown, but right now I'm on a little bit of a vacation, so I'm not that active in the markets. I do know it's earnings season. If you want to get more info on earnings, check out Chris Pulver on YouTube. Okay, so Chris Pulver. Whoop. So he does a daily live stream on his channel, and he really goes in depth and on earnings. He looks at companies, he looks at the price of specific companies, he looks at their past performance, he looks at earnings season, he trades the S&P 500, he trades specific companies as well. So he's your guy if you want to know about earnings. I know that it's earnings season. I know that the companies that already presented their earnings are doing pretty well, which makes sense because the US economy is doing well and we have the artificial intelligence revolution in play. So that's good. That's all great for the NASDAQ. For me, it's too overextended. I have the same opinion. I don't really want to buy these highs. I think a pullback could happen. And if it does happen, it would be very healthy for the markets, because they are really overextended. And it would give me an opportunity to buy. I was looking for buy setups all the way from, I would say, the 2nd of May. Or maybe like from the 12th of May, NASDAQ was on my radar and I was actively considering buy setups. I just never got a pullback. I was looking for a pullback to this area, then we moved higher. Then I was looking for a pullback to this area, we just went higher. Then I moved it to here. We didn't touch it. Now my latest area is up here, and we're gonna see. But so far, it's not looking like it wants to pull back, right? It's looking like it wants to just continue going higher. Thank you. Yes, I'll watch for Chris. No worries. Chris Palmer on YouTube. He's great. He does like a 1 hour live stream every day, 1 hour session, and he breaks down a lot of US indices and a lot of US stocks. So, NASDAQ, Euro Dollar, I already did a detailed breakdown. I took a trade on the Euro Dollar, but with my technical strategies. So I trade 2 strategies. The technical strategy is purely 1 hour chart, purely price action, no news, no indicators. And I took a buy setup, a buy flag right here. So just give me 1 second to check the stream. Okay, looks like it's doing well. I took a buy setup here. I use the timed entry, which we teach at Zentum Trading. So if you guys want to learn about it, if you guys want to check it out, make sure to join us at zentumtrading.com. Link is in the description of the stream. So I got in at the bottom of this candle. Yeah, basically. So it was a timed entry. We had the initial flag, and then once you spot the flag, and the entry happens during the night London time, then you can look for a timed entry. I'm not gonna go into it too much in this stream, but basically I executed the position. I think I used the 30 pip stop loss. It was a really big stop loss. I don't use such a big stop loss for this first strategy or for this technical strategy. I usually use like a 15 to 20 pips. This time I used 30. It just seemed like a logical thing to do because I thought we were gonna bounce off of this level. We did bounce, we went up, and I got out here when I woke up. Okay, so I got out here when I woke up. If I was waking up during the night, I would have gotten out here at this level, and instead of banking 1.3 to 1, I banked a like 0.87 to 1. Okay, and this was a pretty small risk trade. I didn't have a lot of risk on this trade, so this was a small winner, but really happy with it, and it fits my plan. So a quick run through the currencies. Euro dollar, as I mentioned, buy setups. Just gonna look at the 1 hour chart. I don't remember what's the name of the indicator that you have. Yeah, no worries. The indicator is this one. Okay, GT recent high low. That's the one you need. And it's the one that paints all of the lines. Okay, see. And the second one is just a 20 EMA on the daily chart only. So I'm now gonna analyze the 1 hour chart on some currencies, some major currencies. Euro dollar overall moving up, but pretty correctively. Pound dollar. So I was looking for sell setups on the pound dollar on the 1 hour chart for the technical strategy, but we just could not continue with this momentum. Unfortunately, we could not continue. So we got this messy price action. Right now I'm pausing on the pound dollar. Aussie dollar overall moving up, so kind of started to correct here, but overall moving higher. Euro yen is pretty corrective. Most of the JPY pairs on the 1 hour chart at least are looking pretty corrective, and I cannot seem to get a nice clear reading. I cannot seem to get in on a nice buy or sell setup, especially EJ on the 1 hour chart looks really problematic. Looks really flat, but on the daily chart it looks good. I mean, the daily chart on EJ looks absolutely awesome. AJ looks a bit corrective on the daily, and NJ definitely looks a bit corrective. NJ also, I had my position which I got taken out of. I can show you that. JPY. See, so I got taken out. I trailed my position on the daily chart, moving my stop loss underneath the swing lows. Okay. So I just kept moving my stop loss underneath these swing lows, and then I moved it to here, and then I got taken out for a 3.2 R winner. That was a pretty nice trade. But yeah, the JPY pairs are not really on my radar. I think the dollar pairs look a bit more interesting, especially the euro dollar. JPY pairs just seem a bit corrective. They're sort of missing a catalyst of why they should go up or down. With the dollar, you have a lot of things in play. You have trade tensions, you have some data coming out, you had the fact that everyone is selling the US dollar, so retail money is heavily short on the US dollar. That means it could actually go up, you know? Usually if the retail is very short on a specific thing, if everyone is selling a specific asset, usually it goes to the opposite direction. So you want to do the exact opposite of what retail money is doing. Okay, S&P, I like the NASDAQ more. US 30, I was looking for buy setups. The reason was, at this point, I was looking for buy setups because the NASDAQ and the S&P already had a huge move, but the Dow Jones was nowhere near all-time highs. So I was maybe gonna play like a catch-up trade, something I talked about earlier in the stream. So you have the leader, which is, for example, Bitcoin, and you have the follower, which is Ethereum. So Bitcoin goes up first, you buy Ethereum, Ethereum follows. Gold is the leader, silver is the follower. So you buy gold first, and then you basically you watch out for gold. Gold moves, you buy silver, and then silver catches up to gold. That's what I'm doing right now. For example, I'm playing the catch-up trade to gold. That's an added confluence why I bought silver. Okay. But then what happened to the Dow Jones? It had an explosion up, so it caught up to the S&P, it caught up to the NASDAQ, it reached the all-time highs. So now there's no longer like a big opportunity there. The Russell is still nowhere close to the all-time highs. You still have quite a lot of room for the Russell to go up to all-time highs. In percent, like 8.7%, so there's quite a lot of room. I'm gonna consider the Russell. Let me see about the fundamentals. Top setups. Russell. Let's see, bullish. Yeah, so we're getting a bullish reading. That's nice. Again, US economy is doing well, so the Russell technically should go up. I'm not yet actively looking for buy setups, but I may consider one. I'm not sure. I'm not that sure. I like the NASDAQ much more, to be honest. But on the NASDAQ, I'm just not getting a pullback. And this one doesn't seem to look as bad. We are pretty close to the 20 MA. It's definitely not overextended like US 30. So NASDAQ the Russell may be a good buy. Elafi says, anyone else have any question in this chat? I feel like I have Mark only for me. He will be annoyed at the end. No worries, Elafi. You can ask as many questions as you want. That's the main point of the stream. I used to do like daily trade recaps where I just made like a 15 to 20 minute video and posted it on my channel, but that was super boring. So I switched to a live stream format because it's more interactive and I can look at the comments, I can take requests, I can answer questions. So if you have any questions, make sure to keep writing them in the comments. Unfortunately, the chats in some of the live streams are pretty quiet because I have just started doing the streams a couple of months ago, but that's okay. It is what it is. So if you have any questions, keep them coming. I don't mind answering them. That's the best part of this live stream format. Okay, so that's for the indices. Crypto is moving pretty nicely. So Ethereum has been the star of the show from, I would say, the 8th of May, up to now, it has been a massive performer. So from this bottom, we went up 170%. So that's a huge amount. That's a huge explosion in value. And Ethereum is just crazy. I personally don't have, or I have a little Ethereum actually. I have a little bit of Ethereum as a long-term investment, but I'm not trading Ethereum. I'm focusing on Bitcoin. I'm not even sure if I can trade Ethereum on my broker. Let me see. So I use IC Markets. MetaTrader. Let's see, new order. Okay, I need to add it to the watch list first. ETH. Yeah, I can. Can I trade Ripple? I can trade Ripple as well. So I can actually trade quite a lot of cryptocurrencies. And I'm just watching my silver trade, and I have like -3 euros in swaps that I accumulated for holding the position for 1 month. Or let me just check. So I'm holding the position for how many days now? Let's see. So 30 days, and I've already lost like 3 euros in swaps. It's pretty expensive. It is pretty expensive to hold gold and silver, or actually silver is more expensive to hold on your broker. So the swaps are pretty heavy. Okay, Ender says, hi Marco, I want to know what do you think about copper for investment. Okay, Lewis says, hi Marco, hey, welcome to the stream. So sure, let me take a look at copper. Let's put this back. Copper. The daily. Let's start with the weekly. I mean, this is not the best chart I have ever seen. You know, if I zoom out all the way to here, if I'm looking for an investment, I want the weekly chart to look very, very bullish. Okay, very, very bullish. And let's say I bought copper at the beginning of this period in 2011, it would only be a 40% gain. That's really not much, and I would have to suffer through a very big drawdown. So I think copper is actually a very bad long-term investment. I think you can put your money in some much better things. Example, gold. You know, look at this weekly chart. Whoop. This makes much more sense. You're really getting your money's worth if you're buying gold long-term. S&P 500, I would say this is the best in the world. You know, you can't beat this equity curve, or you can't beat this chart. Bitcoin, absolutely amazing. You know, all the way from, I would say 2017, it has just been gaining value. And in terms of percentage, you don't even want to look. It's like 4,148%. So crazy. But I would say copper is actually a very bad long-term investment, in my opinion. And I would say to put your money in things like Bitcoin, S&P, gold, or maybe even silver. Okay, actually silver, yeah, silver is okay. Let's say you bought in 2011. Well, and if you bought in 2011, you would kind of be screwed. So yeah, maybe silver is not the best example, but gold definitely is. Gold is like the star of the show. S&P always star of the show, and Bitcoin is new. You know, Bitcoin has been here from 2013. It's not a long time, but you're getting a huge return if you can basically get behind all of the risk that you're taking. So Elafi had a question, but I think it's now deleted, so not sure what happened there. Elafi, if you have a question, just write it again so that I can see it. So in terms of crypto, I'm considering some buy setups on Bitcoin. Bitcoin looks interesting at this area. We are very close to the all-time highs. Yeah, no worries, Ender. I haven't even traded copper, to be honest. So I'm not really the best guy to ask about copper. Just what I'm seeing from the charts, it doesn't seem to be the best long-term investment. So Bitcoin, if we check out the fundamentals, let's see, Bitcoin, neutral. Okay, we're getting a neutral reading. So Edgefinder is not showing me what I want to see, but the technical analysis is looking okay. You know, so we had the breakout. We are very close to the all-time highs. I would not be a buyer at this point. I would like to first see a potential pullback. That's why I have my alert set. So if we do get a bit of a pullback, I will be considering some buy setups, but I would probably need to see the Edgefinder give me a bullish reading first. Okay, so I would probably need to see a bullish reading right there. Ethereum, I don't really want to trade. Ethereum, I'm not sure about it. I don't have any experience with trading Ethereum. It's a roller coaster, so fundamentals don't really play into Ethereum. I'm not sure how you could even structure your fundamental analysis to buy Ethereum as a short-term trade. For Bitcoin, it works. For Bitcoin, it works because it follows the Nasdaq, you know. So most of the time when the Nasdaq moves, Bitcoin should move as well. It can sometimes act as a technology stock, especially if the US markets are doing well, if the US economy is doing well, if people in the United States are doing well, they will buy alternative investments, they will buy crypto because it's a very risky investment. So only when people have a lot of money to throw around will they buy things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and other crypto coins. So Bitcoin is a risk on asset, and it moves when the Nasdaq moves. So people park extra cash, they park extra income, extra money into Bitcoin. And I like this. I would just like to get a bit of a pullback, and then I would consider getting in on a buy setup. So crypto, interesting. So platinum, we had a massive explosion up. I'm not sure why. I don't know anything about the fundamentals on platinum. We just had a massive explosion from the 20th of May. We are now up 41%. So yeah, Uran says, brother, are you from Croatia? Yep, I am. I'm from Croatia. I'm from the capital, so from Zagreb. Yeah, platinum, I'm not sure what happened here. I'm not trading platinum personally. Copper, I mentioned as a long-term investment, not so great. If you're wondering what was this move, what was this explosion, it was from Trump announcing some tariffs on copper. Okay, so 2025, the main theme for 2025 is Trump tweets, breaking news from Trump, and Trump moving the markets. You know, he had multiple posts, tweets, announcements, statements that moved the markets in a huge way. And copper basically exploded up in one day. So this was the 10th of July, 15%, just because Trump mentioned he was going to put tariffs on copper, I believe. Yeah. So how old are you? I'm 26. Don't you trade gold? I do trade gold. I'm in a buy position. I'm in a trade right now. It's running a little bit of profit. I took this on my prop firm accounts, not on my personal account. So Elafi says, I messed up just asking about crypto, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. Do you trade them like forex pairs in your account or in a wallet or other separate account you have and hold it for the long term? That's a good question. So for my investments, I buy Bitcoin and Ethereum on Binance, and then I put it on my Ledger wallet. Okay, so I put it in cold storage. I put it on a wallet. That's the safest option in my opinion. Okay, having it on my Ledger. Again, it's a long-term investment. I'm not going to touch it for like at least, I would say 5 to 10 years. That's the game plan. But for trading, I use my personal account, IC Markets, FTMO, Darwin X Zero, Alpha Capital. I wouldn't recommend them, but I have an account with them, and I trade Bitcoin as a CFD. Okay, so I trade Bitcoin as a CFD. Again, for long-term trading, I recommend buying crypto on Binance, putting it on a Ledger wallet. For short-term trading, I recommend buying and selling CFDs on your specific broker. Okay, and now for the last question of the stream, because we are approaching the end. From Uran, we have, brother, I'm in a challenge phase in FTMO in normal accounts. So if I trade tomorrow on gold, can I hold till next week? Only if you have a swing account. Okay, so there are two account types on FTMO. You have the regular account and the swing account. I personally always pick the swing account. The difference is the leverage. Normal account is 1 to 100 leverage. Swing account is 1 to 30 leverage, but for the swing account, you can hold trades over the weekend and you can trade through breaking news. You can hold trades and open trades, I believe, through breaking news events. So, depends on which account type you have. If you have the normal account, you will not be able to hold it over the weekend. If you have a swing account FTMO, you will be able to hold the trade over the weekend. Okay. Swing is the best. Yeah, as Elafi says, swing is the best. 1 to 30 leverage is more than enough. Works for me. I've never had an issue. I've never exceeded the leverage. And yeah, I just hold trades over the weekend. I trade through breaking news. I sometimes open trades during breaking news. So that's the best option. That would be the end of the stream. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, if you want to pick up the Edgefinder software, they are currently running a 40% sale. So you can use my code, which is Marco, for 40% off. Just Google Edgefinder or find the link in the description of this live stream. If you guys want to learn to trade, make sure you check out the zentumtrading.com. Okay, make sure you check out zentumtrading.com. You can join for free, join our Discord, get my daily forecasts, get a monthly free email, get access to the free Discord, or you can become a paid member, get access to the full course, and get access to the full strategies and the weekly trade recap for every single member, and access to me in a one-on-one format through the DMs, and access to Griff as well. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you, Elafi. Thank you, Ran. See you guys next week on Thursday. I'm gonna be live streaming. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Good luck in the markets, and that is gonna be it for this one.